Looks like I found some VHS tapes today. I'm back in the VHS tape business. So 3 of these are the Wiggles. You may have seen those before. I don't usually find too many of those that are worth selling. They had a lot of them on the shelf, and so I scanned like 10 of them, and these 3 were worth selling. And then I found this Barney, which is usually good. Usually find some Barney stuff worth selling. So my biggest VHS tape sales have been Barney. And then SpongeBob SquarePants, which I've never sent in or sold. Rugrats usually does not go for much, but I've sent in a few of those before. And then Take Charge of Your Life with Cheryl. So Cheryl Salem with Miss America in 1980, 36 years ago. This one there's an FBA for about $19, $20, but it's in better condition than mine. It's got writing on it here. It's probably in acceptable condition because there's tape, which means it probably tore. But it'll probably sell for like 15 bucks. The rank isn't that great on that one though. I also found this CD. I only bought 1 CD. So I went to 2 thrift stores, 20 books total, about 7 VHS tapes, 1 CD. So total almost 30 items at 2 thrift stores. And this one was the 1 CD that I got, and actually I got it for, it was less than $1, probably like 75 cents, 50 cents. And it's a double CD. The Statler Brothers, it's actually not that many copies, and it has a consistent rank over the last 3 months of about 90,000. There are 3 FBA offers, and they're starting at $31, going all the way up to $39. However, the merchant fulfilled prices are much lower. The lowest one is about $1.50. They barely go up from there. And it's not until you're about 10 or 12 offers in that they jump up to $10. So I don't know about the $31 if it's legit. I'm gonna do some more research, but there's not much more research I can do because Camel doesn't tell you, it doesn't break it down between merchant fulfilled or FBA sales based upon the pricing. There's no way to tell if it's selling for that much FBA. My guess is that it's a little bit much, although there are 3 people bunched around $30 to $40. That doesn't necessarily mean though that it sells for that much FBA, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did sell $31 because there's not that many copies and it is selling regularly. So as the merchant fulfilled offers sell out and Prime members come to look at that offering and want to buy it, they might be willing to spend 30 bucks on this, especially as we get closer to the holidays. So I could always list at 31, the lowest FBA price, and then sit on it for a few months and reprice back, reprice down to, I don't know, $24.95, down to $19.95, something like that. But I'd be happy to sell at $19.95 because I didn't have to spend too much on it. Most of the, all those VHS tapes were about 60 cents, 59 cents, and a few of them were half off, 75% off, because there was tag sales. It depends on what you want to do. I could sit on it for $31 and see. It doesn't hurt to have it sit and, hopefully it makes it 31 bucks, but I could underprice it by a little bit, $29.95, see if I can get the next sale, or I could match it. So we'll see. I can't remember what the condition was though for the ones that were up there, but that was a good find regardless. Most of the books I found were sort of the bread and butter quick sellers, $9 to $12 range. Most of them are around $10 that I found. I also found this book, Deceive, or D-E-C-I-V-E. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it horribly, by Thomas Hobbes or Hobbes. Just butchering it all over the place. It's actually a former library copy. It's hardcover. Got it for 10 cents. It is going for, well, first of all, the rank is currently 2.3 million. It sells about 5 copies a year, or at least it sold 5 copies over the last 12 months. And the lowest merchant fulfilled price is $55.40, an acceptable copy. And then it jumps up to $60, and then after that it jumps up to $116. So this is a book that is going for a lot of money. There's not that many copies, and it doesn't sell very often, but 5 copies a year is about a copy every 2 months on average. Of course, when you look at the graph, it has like 2 sales together and then 4 months with nothing, then 3 sales. So it's all over the place with the sales, but nonetheless, averaged out, it's about every 2 or 3 months that you get a sale. So even if you have to wait 6 months to get a $50 sale, it's not too bad. Also, I got this book for 10 cents. So it was in the 10-cent bin, and I figured, well, the rank's not that great. It doesn't sell that many, but because I only spent 10 cents on it, it's worth it. So I'm going to send it in. I'll probably take some photos, which I haven't been doing lately, but I'll probably take some photos, list it for probably $49.95, something like that. and I will see if it sells. I'll try to basically be the lowest price by far. See if the other merchant fulfilled drops down to where I am. Sometimes they'll do that with their repricers and get the next sale. So when it comes along, whether it's a Prime member or non-Prime member, I want to make sure that I get that sale. I'm even willing to drop it down to $39.95, $34.95 because I only spent 10 cents on it. So even if I sell it for 30 bucks, margins are incredible. Here's another book I picked up for 10 cents. So I'm showing you all books that I got for 10 cents. And I don't normally get books for 10 cents, just at this place usually. And sometimes at bag sales, if it's a $1 bag sale or $2 bag sale and I get a lot of books, sometimes it'll break down to being really cheap per book. So usually it's $1 on average down to maybe 50 cents. So these just happen to be really, really cheap. Always want to consider your sourcing cost as you are scanning and looking up books. You need to know how much you have to spend on the books so you can deduct that from what Amazon is going to pay you once the sale is made. So you need to always have that, know that ahead of time. So if all the paperbacks are 50 cents and all the hardbacks are $1, you know that. Sometimes they're like these, they're marked individually, where these are sometimes 35 cents, sometimes 85, sometimes 99, sometimes 10 cents. Just know that ahead of time as you go through scanning. So this one here, usually when I see a travel guide, I don't bother looking them up. But this one, because it was only 10 cents and it's in really great condition, this is in very good condition, so I decided to look it up, and I was expecting it to not go for anything because usually they don't. However, this was published in 2013 and it's selling like crazy. Maybe it's the Moon brand, I don't know, but it's also partly probably because it's newer and it was published fairly recently, so a lot of the information is newer. This one is ranked 500,000 and the sales rank stays anywhere between 90,000 to about 500,000 over the past year, and it's selling about a copy every other day. This is all based upon Camel. So I highly recommend using that when you are deciding whether to buy something or not, which the FBA Scan app has and some of the other ones have, but the Amazon Seller app does not. So Amazon is selling this one for $15.88. There's a couple other FBA copies. There's a new one for $12.77 and a good one for $10.59. Why does someone go all the way down to $10.59? And why do they go down to $12.77? I don't know. They don't like to make as much money, I guess. But it's selling so many copies that you could potentially price it higher. It's very good. So if I didn't have these other two offers, I would probably price it about, I could probably price it like $14.75, $14.25 for very good, and I would be able to sell it. Fortunately, I'd have to wait for the other two to sell, definitely the new copy to sell. But because it's selling so many copies, I could probably do that and still get the sale. However, I have to decide when I go to price this, how quickly I want to sell it. I want to give up a couple of bucks to sell it faster. So I underprice the $12.77, maybe do like $11.75, give up like $3 of profit instead of pricing it $14.75 or $25. So you have to make that decision. You want to sell it faster or wait a little bit longer to get a couple more bucks out of the book. Again, it depends upon your perspective on it and how quickly you want your money back from your investment, your book investment, and how much, which is also based upon how much you spent to source it. If you spend $1.50, you might want it back quicker, or you might want to wait, depends on you, on how you look at it. I can make a little less money because I'll still make a huge profit off of it. So my margin will still be big. Be on the lookout for these if they're newer. If it's in really good shape, chances are it could be newer unless it's an older one, but I rarely find the travel guides that are going for good money. The newer ones are the ones you want to look for. Here's another one I got for 10 cents called On Religion by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. This one is probably in good shape. Former Denver Public Library book. So this one came a ways, and it has that stickers, there's a sticker on the bottom there, on the spine, and on the top. Doesn't have any stamps inside, I don't believe. But the inside of it is really great. It does have a little bit of some edge wear and that sort of thing. But this one again was 10 cents and it's ranked 1,000,000 right now. And if you look at the sales rank history, it stays for the most part between 100,000 to 900,000 rank. I'd say it averages around 600,000 or so. So it's selling at least a copy a week, maybe more. So it's pretty steady demand. If it's not going much higher than 1,000,000, then you're seeing a sale at least every 7-10 days, I would guess, but also based upon the camel graph. So Amazon is selling this for $12.81, and there's one other FBA new offer for $11.53, which makes a lot more sense pricing wise, but mine will be either good or acceptable, probably good, and I could price it at $10.95, $10.75. I only spent 10 cents on it, so I could drop it even lower if I wanted to move it quicker. But the great thing is that all the MF prices are a little bit higher too, starting at $6 and up. And there's not a ton of copies. So this one should move fairly quickly as long as I am competitive about my pricing. If I at least price it under $11, $10.75, $10.50, something like that, maybe $10.25, it should move pretty quickly. Here's another book that I got for 10 cents, and this is a school-related book. This one currently has a rank of 15,000. Over the past 12 months, the sales rank for this book has not gone up more than 112,000. That's what I like to call a consistent, steady seller. So this is not a lot of money here, but it sells really fast, and it's probably selling, if not every day, really close to a copy a day. And during certain periods of the year, it's certainly selling multiple copies a day. So it just depends, but not to go over 112,000 for sales rank over an entire 12 months means that it's really popular and it's being used in classrooms. The Amazon price for this book is $9.75, and there's two other FBA offers below the $9.75. One for $8.90, one for $8.75. Now my copy is acceptable because there is not a ton of underlining and margin notes, but there's some, like somebody doodled in there, and it just, to me, it's got the stamp on the bottom. So to me, it's not in that great a shape. Perfectly legible and readable and all of that. Accessible, and the text is unobscured, but still I'll probably list it as acceptable and list it maybe $8.95, $8.75. So it's for sure going to sell. The other interesting thing about this is there are other FBA offers above the $9.75 Amazon price. There are 8 FBA offers over the $9.75 Amazon price, all the way up to $28, but most of them up to $12 and change. So they clearly think that Amazon is going to sell out at some point, and then they'll be able to sell theirs for a little bit more money. That's entirely up to you. Some people do that, utilize that strategy to try to make a little extra money when Amazon sells out. So that's not something that I do because I want to sell it quickly. There's not a lot of money in this anyway, so I'd rather get the money back and buy more inventory. So I'll probably list this $8.95, $8.75, and off of 10 cents, I'll make a very nice profit because I'll probably get paid around $4 or so. It's a lightweight small book, and minus 10 cents, nothing. So the return will be incredible. Even though it's not a lot of money, it's a big profit margin. So this is a school-related book. Keep a lookout for those kind, and it should sell pretty fast. I hope those few examples were helpful to any of you watching this, or to some of you watching this, because I know a few were asking for a video about the kind of books that I look for and how I source. So I thought I would make just a quick little video about some examples of that from today. And the kind of books I source are all kinds. Most are nonfiction. That's where I find the most valuable books. And I also source fiction, but those are for quick sellers with lower profits. So on those, I usually make around anywhere between $3 to $4 on average, I would say, but probably around $3 on average for the quick fiction books. So, but if I can get a fiction book, sell a fiction book for $10, get paid about $4.80 or so. Let's say I source it for $1, make about $3.80, because they're not going to sit in the warehouse for very long. They usually sell within a month, hopefully a couple weeks, and I can get that money back quick. So I do fiction, but usually they're faster sellers. Mostly it's nonfiction, all kinds of genres, really everything. Most of the places I go to, like thrift stores that I go to, they just have books out. They don't necessarily have categories, so, or they might have the fiction separated from the nonfiction. They might put the religion together, cookbooks together, stuff like that. Cookbooks I don't really do very much with. If something stands out, if it's very niche-y or looks like a really nice cookbook, I might look it up, but I rarely find good cookbooks. Travel books, not too much. Self-help, not too much. Some business, good amount of religion, school-related books. There's all kinds of topics, random topics you can find in nonfiction. The more specific and the more drilled down, the better. Basically, if you feel that might be the only book on that topic, that's really good. If it's really broad, general nonfiction, like World War II, well, there's a lot you can write about World War II. But if it's World War II in about this one guy in this particular town, and he met this girl, and I don't know, whatever or he drove a specific tank. The history of this tank during World War II, pulled by this famous war hero. I'm totally making this up, but something drilled down and more specific, the better. Some art books can do well. Newer computer books can do well if you can find them. The Dummies series, there's some that I found, majority no good. So, I mean, I could talk for hours about all the different types of books I've sold. I could go back and look at my sales and see all the different titles, because it's really just all types of stuff. Nonfiction in general, but just kind of look through nonfiction, scan thousands of books. And yes, not just hundreds, but thousands, and you'll start to find what looks good, what stands out on the shelf. Because you don't want to sit there and look up 100 books. So if they have a shelf of 50 books, you don't want to have to look up all 50 when maybe you can only look up 10 to 20. And the other 30 or so, 30 to 40, are just by looking at them, you know they're not really worth looking up. Maybe they're in bad shape, maybe they're too old, maybe it's a topic that's too general, maybe you've seen the book before and you already know it's no good, it's not worth looking up, it's not worth flipping or reselling on Amazon. So the more you do this, the more experience you have, the better, or the more efficient and quicker you'll get with scanning and sourcing. All the tools help, of course, the app, the Bluetooth scanner, all that stuff is great, but experience is more important than anything. Those are just tools. Whether you're using the free Amazon app or a paid app or a Bluetooth scanner or downloadable database, that will definitely make you go faster, but you just have to put in the time to know what are good books to source and what are good books worth looking up. Because you can go to book sales and there's 10,000 books, 20,000 books, 5,000 books, and there's, let's say, 2,000 nonfiction books. Well, where do you go first? Well, pick the area that you've had the most success in and just start going through. Don't be afraid to type in the ISBN or the title if it doesn't have a barcode, because you'd be surprised at the amount of resellers that will not bother with non-barcoded books. They will skip them to go faster and get through everything else and then possibly go on to another book sale or yard sale or wherever they're going. So be the one that's a little more methodical and look through everything, especially if you have the time to do it. So anyway, I could go on and on about it, but hopefully that helped you, give you some ideas as I source and as I get more books, and I'll make videos like this to let you know about my process. Different note, my shipment I sent in yesterday, or dropped at UPS yesterday morning, was checked in this morning at 10 a.m. So another 49 books, now I'm back over 2,800. I was over 2,800 a few weeks ago, but then I kept selling. So I was back down to like 27, I don't know, 50 or something. And so now that brings me back up to 2,800. So the number of books you have in inventory is not really as important as how many books you're shipping in and how consistent you are about it. Because as your inventory grows, which is great, you'll sell more. And the more you sell, the more you're going to have to send in if you want to maintain the same sales level and the same income level. That's sort of the quote-unquote trap of FBA, is the more successful you are, i.e. the more sales you make, i.e. the more money you make. In order to maintain that, you have to maintain the same level of sourcing and shipping. So I'm trying to do multiple shipments a week of 49 or less items, so more like 100 a week at least, which is what I've basically been able to do, especially since I decided to try to source a lot more than I have been. My goal was 200, but I haven't been able to hit that, but I've at least been hitting about 100 a week. Really important to ship consistently. Don't worry about your inventory level. That will grow. Hopefully you're selling though. You're not just sending books in there, going to sit there and not sell. Make sure that you send in books that will sell eventually. The sooner the better, unless they're long tail and they're going to make you a bunch of money, but they need to sell at some point, even if it is in 6 to 12 months. Get on a schedule for shipping and sourcing, because that's how this business is going to grow, period. Nothing else matters. Getting more efficient and quicker with sourcing, listing fast, shipping those books out and let them sit in your house for weeks, get them out of there, and then moving on and keep on sourcing. That's really the bottom line. 2,800 books now. I started with sending in a shipment of 26. Now I'm at 2,800. I've sold many, many books and VHS tapes and CDs. It just takes time and effort, and that's the thing about it. You got to keep replenishing your inventory. So you have to like this, because you're going to have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So you must love books, love media, love whatever you're doing with FBA. Otherwise, it's going to feel tedious. As always, remember, keep booking.